Columbia Broadcasting System presents a thrilling new adventure series starring Dick Powell. I'm an insurance investigator. My name is Johnny Dollar.
What?
You heard me, Johnny Dollar, and I can pad an expense account with the best of them. Yep, I'm a freelance insurance investigator, and I live in Hartford, Connecticut. At least that's where I pay rent. My work sees to it that I really live anywhere, except at home. I'm free, white, 34, and so forth. If you're interested in buying me Christmas presents, I take a size 42 suit. Shirt's 15 and a half collar, sleeve length 33. My hat size is 7 1/8, except when I wind up a successful case. Then it runs about 7 3/8. At insurance investigation, I'm just an expert. At making out my expense account, I'm an absolute genius. Expense account, submitted by investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, East Coast Underwriters, Terminal Building, Hartford, Connecticut. Attention, Austin Farnsworth, General Manager. The following is an accounting of my expenditures in the investigation of Milfred Brooks III for your company. Expense account item 1. Cab fare to your office in answer to your original call, 75 cents. Tip to driver, $1. Expense account item 2. Shoe shine, 25 cents. You'll remember I got my shoes scuffed when I unsuspectingly walked into your private office.
Milford! No, you must not, my boy. Dollar! Keep away from that window. Don't
you.
jump.
No, you don't.
Let go of me. Let go of me, you fool.
No. There are better ways of making a big splash in life.
Get away.
Well, nice try, Sonny. Now pay attention to teacher. I didn't know I had it in me.
Oh, goodness gracious, Dollar. Did you have to hit him so hard? I hope you haven't killed him. He isn't too strong, you know.
Don't worry. There. Now, Mr. Farnsworth, would you mind telling me on whose head have I the dubious pleasure to be sitting?
That, sir, is Milford Brooks III. His policy with this company is in the amount of $2 million.
Wow.
Yes. And the boy seems bent on committing suicide. Dollar, I want you to stop him.
What do you want me to do? Threaten him with death?
Anything. The conditions of his policy are such that we would be forced to meet with a claim in the event of his suicide. Oh, I say, Dollar, sitting on his head that way, aren't you in danger of smothering the boy?
Smothering him doesn't worry me, but these crew haircuts don't make very comfortable cushions. I'll move down a little. Now, there. Okay. So far, I know this kid is insured for $2 million and that his policy pays off on suicide. What else? 1/2
hour ago, Milford Brooks walked into this office and changed the beneficiary in his policy. Then, sir, he proceeded to demand, not request, mind you, but demand a loan of $500,000.
Quite a touch.
When I explained to him that there were no provisions for a loan in his policy, he threatened suicide.
Which would cost you $2 million. So all we have to do is keep him alive, huh?
And he's managed to make that no small problem. His choice of a new beneficiary is downright frightening. One of the most notorious gamblers in the East. His name is Hatcher, Harold Hatcher.
Ouch.
Oh, do you know him?
Sure. That kid's been a post office pinup boy for a lot of years.
Well, that's the situation. I'm engaging you to protect Milford Brooks' future. Dollar, I want you to protect the boy. Give him something to live for. You know, an interest in life.
An interest in life? Well, then, let's see. I know. Here. This should help.
What's that you got there?
Well, it's what's commonly referred to in the more successful of bachelor circles as my little black book.
Oh.
Well, now, let's see. Ruby? No. Her favorite expression is drop dead. Bernadine? No. She'd be the new beneficiary by midnight.
Oh, dear.
Now, here's the one, Butter. Say, Farnsworth, would you mind passing me that phone? The one with the long cord?
Oh, no. Oh.
Lie still, Buster. My little friend here is showing signs of life.
Here you are. Maybe you should let him breathe a bit more.
Don't worry. He'll be all right. Hello. Oh, hello. I want to call New York. Yeah. Hudson, 24292.
Dollar, you're not thinking of taking this boy to New York, are you?
Well, I'm going there myself. You want me to keep an eye on him, don't you?
Now, don't fret, Farnsworth. All is not lost.
You do worry me, sitting on his chest that way.
Hello? Hello, Butter? This is Johnny. Yeah, I'll be in town tonight. I want to see you. And look, here's what I want you to do. Yes, it's all right to say over the telephone. Yeah, I want you to reserve a table at the hatchery in my name for 10 o'clock tonight. Will you do that? Okay. I'll see you at your apartment in a few hours. But, honey, I can't make it any earlier. I'm sitting up on a sick friend. Okay, goodbye.
I'm not sure that I agree with your methods.
Huh?
Ow! What's the matter? Did he hit you?
Hit me? He bit me. Expense account, item 3. Liquor, $18. Keeping Milfred Brooks III peaceful seemed to be the immediate problem, and a bottle of rare old brandy seemed to be the immediate answer. I poured most of it into him, and by the time he started to tick again, he'd gone through the unusual process of going to sleep sober and waking up enchanted. I loaded him into my car, and we headed for New York. As we passed through New Haven, he opened one eye, looked up, saw the Yale Bowl, and gave 3 cheers for old Eli.
Ray, Ray, Ray.
Oh, old Yale would sure be proud of you. Why anybody would want to insure you for $2 million is more than I can figure.
My daddy loved me very much, and my mother loved me very much.
Now, that's nice.
And not only that, but I love somebody very much. And not only that, but I hate somebody very much.
That's interesting.
You know something? Next to one other guy, I hate you more than anybody else.
Oh, here, lover boy, it's the cocktail hour again. Time for your bottle. Rolling along the Merritt Parkway, I felt very much alone with my thoughts. And believe me, they weren't very pleasant company. The way it stacked up for me, Brooks had built up a fat gambling debt with Harold Hatcher and had been forced into making him his beneficiary. The suicide threat that he was holding over the insurance company was a little tougher to figure, unless he was trying to finance a trip for himself to get away from the man with a murder motive, Hatcher. My hungry little mind nibbled away on those unsavory morsels of food for thought all the way to Butter's apartment.
Hey, where are you taking me? I want to go to New York.
If you don't behave, Buster, I'll punch your ticket.
Johnny, darling, welcome to New York.
Well, that's the fastest trip I ever had.
Quiet.
Well, where did you find this?
In a box of Cracker Jack. Let us in, dear.
I don't know about you. Some men bring me flowers, some bring me candy. What do you bring me? A boiled owl and a Brooks Brothers suit.
Pleased to meet you.
Let's trot him into the bedroom, honey.
You'd look more at home in the bathtub. Let me pull down the cup.
All right. Now, come on, Buster. Lie down.
Charm.
That kid's liquor sure can hold him.
How long have you been playing nursemaid to this bottle baby?
Get behind that bar, sweet, and I'll tell you all about it.
Sure. Horrible examples don't seem to bother you, do they?
If you knew how that guy has been bothering me.
What did he do to you?
Well, let's just say he put the bite on me. Gosh, the river sure does look pretty tonight.
Bourbon and soda?
Now, please, anything but brandy. I've been sniffing that second hand all the way from Hartford. Butter, see that big boat out there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I sure would like to be on it. With you, sailing off to faraway romantic places.
Get with it, darling. That's the 125th Street Ferry.
Oh.
Here's your drink. Come on now. Tell Butter all about it.
So, friend Bourbon and I proceeded to tell her all about it. It wasn't easy. Everything about her kept flagging down my train of thought. The longer she looked at me, the less I wanted of Milford Brooks III, and the more I wanted of beautiful Butter the first, and only. She was a sympathetic listener to my story until I gave her the answer to her first and only question.
And where do I fit into all this?
Well, baby, I thought you understood. My job is to give this poor misguided boy something to live for. That's you.
Well...
Now, honey, hold everything. Don't go getting your corn all popped. You misunderstand. I really mean it. I thought if he just got a look at you and realized that things like you exist,
Why, you'd make any man glad to be alive. Come on now, Butter. Melt a little. I wouldn't let anything happen to you. You know that.
Did I hurt you?
Oh, no, I'm getting used to it. People have been taking pokes at me all day.
Sorry.
Ah, that's better.
You want some more bourbon?
Uh-uh. I want some more you.
Well, help yourself.
Honey, it's getting late. Let's make this the last drink.
What time is it?
Oh, it's 20 to 10.
Oh.
My reservation at the hatchery is for 10. Here.
Thanks. Cigarette? Oh, empty. Some more out in the other room. I'll get 'em.
I'd love to get you on a slow boat to China.
Johnny!
Oh, coming.
He's gone.
What? Well, he can't be.
But he is. The window's wide open.
Oh, the fire escape. What a smart guy I am. Trading 3 drinks of bourbon for $2 million on the hoof. Oh, that's the biggest bar check I ever picked up.
That's a big bar check for anyone to pick up. As a matter of fact, it's a bigger bar check than you've ever heard of anyone picking up before. And that should give you an idea of what to expect in the second act as you follow this new CBS series starring Dick Powell in the title role, yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Well, nobody could say I wasn't working fast. I'd only been in town for an hour, and I'd already succeeded in losing Milford Brooks III. I spent another hour of his all-too-short life expectancy unsuccessfully shaking down the neighborhood for him. And then, feeling very much like a bloodhound that had flunked his sniffing exam, I went back to Butter's apartment.
No luck, Johnny.
Oh, sure, plenty of luck. All bad.
Is there anything I can do to help?
A kiss for luck.
What are you going to do?
Nothing. Just a little phone call.
Police headquarters.
This is Johnny Dollar. Give me missing persons.
Any particular one?
Don't be a wise guy. Lieutenant Fisher.
Yes, sir. Lieutenant Fisher.
Fisher, this is Johnny Dollar.
Hello, Dollar. Who'd you lose?
One man, my mind, and if I'm not careful, my professional reputation. The guy's name is Brooks, Milford III. Got anything on him?
Hold on.
All right.
Don't look at me like that. It wasn't all my fault.
Dollar,
Yeah?
we haven't found him yet, but we think we know where he is.
Huh?
The Hudson River. At 11:15 tonight, his top coat, complete with identification, was found taking a ride on the 125th Street ferry.
Oh. Anything else?
Nothing much. A package of matches was found under the coat, monogram. You don't happen to know anybody whose initials are H.H., do you?
H.H.?
Yeah.
There's always Horace Height.
Why,
Thanks, Fisher. I'll check back with you later.
I'll be.
H.H. Harold Hatcher.
What are you mumbling about? Bad news?
Looks like about $2 million worth. They found Milford's coat on the 125th Street ferry.
You and your faraway romantic places.
Very funny. Now, I'll see you later, honey, and maybe about 11. Expense account, item 4. Nightclubs. $28. Harold Hatcher's hatchery was in a cellar under a hotel, but the prices were high enough to rate a penthouse. The club was draped in too much satin, its lady customers in too little. The decor was French provincial, the music was Brazilian, and the food was from Dixie. The drinks looked weak and the waiters looked strong. All in all, the joint was a sight for sore eyes, for making them sore. The only pretty thing in the place was a blonde. She came strolling up to my table, her hips unconsciously sending subtle little messages back to the rumba band. She opened her mouth, slid her tongue over her lower lip, and let a few warm, soft words slide out.
Looking for someone?
Well, you'll do until the real thing comes along. Sit down.
Thanks. I won't have a drink.
Well, I didn't ask you.
My name is Janelle.
Janelle. Wow, that's a nice name.
I understand you were asking about Mr. Hatcher.
Well, I asked if he was in. The waiter said he wasn't. Do you know him?
More than somewhat. What do you want to see him about?
A mutual friend, Milford Brooks.
Uh-huh. I know most of the quiet-clothes boys around here, so you want a cop. You don't look like the type that would be a society friend of the Brooks family, so what are you?
I'll ignore that. Is Hatcher around?
He might be.
Then come on. Where's his office?
The top of those stairs.
Can I expect any trouble getting in?
You won't have any trouble.
How do you know?
Because Harold sent me down here to look you over.
Oh.
I think you're all right.
So, I've won myself the good housekeeping seal of approval, huh?
Keeping a house with you would meet with my approval.
I ran for my life. Had a slow walk up the stairs. When I located the door to Hatcher's office, I knocked once and went in.
Come on in.
Thanks. Oh, I'm Johnny Dollar. I was hired by East Coast underwriters to protect the interest of a kid named Milford Brooks III.
Now, what's that supposed to mean to me?
You know him, don't you?
Well, he isn't exactly one of my boozing buddies.
How much money does he owe you?
Now, we've got him on the books for a few bob. Why?
They picked up his top coat tonight on the 125th Street ferry. He wasn't in it. It might have been suicide, or it might have been a knockover made to look like a suicide. What's your choice?
What do you get off asking me about my choice?
Where were you between 11 and 11:30 tonight?
What's it to you?
I thought you might like to rehearse some answers. The law will be asking some questions real soon now.
I don't know why I should tell you, but I was driving around in my car getting some air.
Oh, now, you'll have to do better than that. They found one of your match folders under Brooks' coat.
You're out of your mind. Let me ask you. The kid owed me a couple of $100,000. You think I'm going around knocking off my own assets?
Hatcher, I don't know whether you're stupid or bright.
Don't worry about it. I know.
What about that insurance policy?
What insurance policy?
Now, look, Hatcher, we're big boys. We both know that changing a beneficiary in an insurance policy is a legal transaction. That means witnesses. That means it isn't secret.
What are you talking about?
That you and East Coast underwriters and I know all know that Brooks made you the beneficiary in his policy and that you stand to come into $2 million when they fish out his body.
I don't know anything about it.
Motives don't come much bigger.
I'm telling you, this is all news to me, and you and nobody else is going to make me move off that story.
I feel the same about mine. It doesn't take a genius to know that Brooks didn't love you $2 million worth. There's only one logical reason for his making you the beneficiary. You forced him into it. Who'd believe anything else?
Who cares? They'd have to prove it. And, brother, that can't be done. Now, how would you... Yeah. Okay, Rocky, thanks for the news. Take the inspector into the bar and buy him a drink. I'll be right down. Dollar, did you turn me in?
They're here, huh?
Yeah.
No, I didn't turn you in. I'm not a cop. Here, have a cigarette.
Thanks. Here's a light. Well, come on. Maybe they just want to sell me some tickets to the policeman's ball.
For a guy in a hot spot, Hatcher was certainly a cool customer. I followed him out of the office, down the stairs, and back into the club. Janelle was sitting there right where I'd left her. And I thought to myself, now there's a gal who should never sit down. She looks so pretty standing up.
Janelle, buy Mr. Dollar a drink. I have to go play 20 questions with some fellas in the bar.
Sure, baby. Anything you say. Anything.
I'll see you, Dollar.
Yeah.
How'd you make out?
Well, you can never tell about a guy like that. He's a smart boy, strong, silent type.
Wouldn't talk, huh? A real close-mouth act. About what?
Oh, just a little doodad. $2 million life insurance policy.
Wait a minute. That young Brooks kid?
That's right.
I knew it. Tried to tell him he'd get into trouble, but he wouldn't listen to me.
Oh, you knew about it, huh? I suppose you also know what was behind it.
Sure, Milford owed him some money. A lot of money. It's in writing.
What kind of writing?
The personal note that Brooks was going to get back if he made Harold beneficiary.
Where is this note?
Do I look like the kind of girl who'd put the finger on her boyfriend?
You look like the kind of girl who'd do anything if she wanted to.
Thanks. I'll give you a slight hint. It's in his office. You'll find it in the inside pocket of one of his suits in the wardrobe. What are you waiting for? I'll watch the bar.
Nothing, sweetheart. Nothing at all.
Whatever her reasons, Mr. Harold Hatcher's little female playmate was trying awful hard to send him up on a murder rap. And I was going to try awful hard not to let her down. Back in Hatcher's office, I found myself alone in a room with a telephone. And being a guy who can never resist a free call, I unleashed the magic wonders of the AT&T.
This better be you, Johnny Dollar.
Shh, quiet, Butter. I've only got a few seconds.
It seems that's all you ever have for me. Now, if you
Now,
think
look,
that
Angel, just another hour. I'll get you a nice present.
I don't care if you're another century. And as for presents, the last one you brought me was a drunk, and you even let him get away from me. Good night.
Life presents a gloomy picture, ever downward toward the tomb. Having wasted those few precious moments of an already misspent youth, I decided I'd better get on my pony before Mr. Hatcher showed up. I found Milford Brooks' personal note in one of Hatcher's suits, all right. As a matter of fact, I found something in all his suits. A great big glimmer of light. Expense account, item 5. Taxi fare, $10. I left the office in a hurry, Janelle at her table and Hatcher at his bar. I got out of the club and into a taxi parked a half block down the street. There, I waited until my favorite suspect left the hatchery and piled into another cab, and off we went. On a chase that would have made Ben-Hur look like a plowing bee. We skittered over to Lexington and headed uptown. At 72nd, the cab turned right and pulled to a stop. My driver was on his toes, and his toes were on his brake. We stopped, too, half a block behind.
You want us to wait, huh?
No, here you are. Keep the change.
Hey, thanks.
It was a garage that belonged to a residence on the parallel street a block away. The living quarters upstairs were dark enough to look interesting. I indulged in a bit of genteel breaking and entering. Entering that old barn didn't take much breaking. I crept up the stairs. It sounded like they were left over from an old ghost story. And so did the first voice I heard when I stopped halfway up.
We've got to be careful, especially about that Johnny Dollar. Are you sure he didn't follow you?
That voice sounded awfully dry to be coming from a guy who supposedly had spent most of the night snoozing in the bottom of the Hudson River. It was Milford Brooks III. Get up on your feet, Brooks.
Well, now, wait a minute.
I started this thing slugging you, and I might as well finish it the same way.
Leave him alone.
Now, pull in the claws, Angel. And sit on his lap.
You hard-footed. I'll kill you.
Get off of me. I should have known better than to get mixed up with a low-class female like you.
Why, you punk.
Now, hold it. We pushed the lady around enough, Brooks.
Tell me to be careful, will you? Why didn't you think of that before you led him here?
Wipe your nose, little boy.
Now, don't you go getting fat-headed, gorgeous. Neither one of you are exactly what I'd call masterminds. When you planted that match folder on a little boy Blue Blood's topcoat on the ferry boat, you both should have been more careful.
You think so?
You bet I think so. If I were planning a piece of evidence to incriminate Mr. Harold Hatcher, I would have left a cigarette lighter. I found one in the pocket of every suit he owns back there in his closet in the club. It wasn't hard to figure out that guy never carries a book of matches.
What do you want?
I'm only interested in one thing. Saving the insurance company $2 million. And, Buster, I think you've done it for me.
Dollar,
This is insurance fraud. It has been ever since you put on that fake suicide attempt. Trying to extort $500,000 out of the company.
Dollar, wait a minute.
Ah, come on. We're leaving.
You heard him, Dollar.
Hatcher.
He said, wait a minute. He wants to talk.
Yeah, everybody wants to get in on the act. How did you get here?
When the police in this town think maybe a guy's jumped off a ferry boat and nobody's seen him do it, they check the counters on the turnstiles at each end. In the case of Brooks, as many people got off that boat as got on.
Well, it makes sense. They'd hardly hold a guy because somebody lost a topcoat.
How did you know we were here?
You know me, baby. You never go any place I don't know about. Okay, Brooks, you felt like talking. Now I feel like listening. Get it up.
Well, I don't know what you mean.
I know what you mean, Hatcher. One, he gave you a big, fat $2 million motive for murder. And two, he did his best to make it look like you did murder him with that broken-down match cover plant on the ferry boat. It's just that simple.
And you, baby?
Harold, please.
You put him up to it, didn't you, you cheap little muscler? Trying to get rid of me, will you?
No, Harold.
Now, calm down, Hatcher. You don't need any gun around here. They're tame.
Well, maybe I'm not. Since so many people have gone to so much trouble to hand me a nice, easy way to make $2 million, Maybe I'll just go ahead and make it. I'll show these amateurs how these things are really done. Come on, Brooks. How'd you like to go for a nice, cool, half a ferry boat ride?
No, Hatcher. No. Look, it's her fault. I'll give you anything you
You're
want.
wrong, sonny boy. You're going to give me everything.
No. No. You can't. Let me out of here.
Brooks bolted for the door. Hatcher snapped a shot at him. And I hit Hatcher with a do-or-die tackle from behind. The gun flew out of his hand. No, you don't. I beat him to it and swung it straight into his skull. Half the people in the room were lying there bleeding. Brooks from gunshot, Hatcher from gun butt. Janelle and I stood there panting. But believe me, not for each other. We stood that way until the police arrived.
Dollar, it's beyond me. I sent you out to protect the life of a very important policyholder, and now where are we? Standing in a hospital corridor worrying about whether he's going to live or die.
As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Farnsworth, you're only half right. I'm just standing in a hospital corridor.
Oh, Dollar, you're heartless.
Well, if you'd been bitten where he bit me, you wouldn't care if he lived or died either. I'm getting out of here.
Well, where are you going?
It'll be explained in my expense account under miscellaneous expense. Oh, don't fall over when you come to an item for $318.
$318? For what?
Not for what, Farnsworth? For whom? Expense account total. And it all adds up to a little matter of $1,182.23. Which you may say, Mr. Farnsworth, is a lot of money for one man to spend in 2 days. But you must bear in mind that the amount at stake was $2 million. And you know the price of steak these days. It might comfort you to know that I just returned from the hospital. Brooks was strong enough to make a full statement, which you will find enclosed. This in itself should prove sufficient to establish evidence of attempted fraud against your company, allowing you to immediately avoid his policy. It boils down to one sentence, to wit. Brooks and Janelle wanted to get rid of Hatcher so that they could live happily ever after. Knowing those two, they never had a chance. And oh, yes, that that miscellaneous item, the one for $318, it was a bracelet for a certain party who made this special investigation for me very special. Oh, if you want a receipt for this item, I'll send you a lock of her hair. Yours, truly, Johnny Dollar.
So, with the final signature on his expense account, Dick Powell as Johnny Dollar has just closed the books on his first adventure in this new CBS series. The script for tonight's broadcast was written by Paul Dudley and Gil Dowd, and the music was created and conducted by Dick Arant. The entire production was under the direction of Tony Leader. Be sure to tune in again next week when the expense account covers Special Investigation Singapore, another unusual adventure starring Dick Powell in...
Yours, truly, Johnny Dollar.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The Columbia Broadcasting System presents yours truly, Johnny Dollar. The next half hour has its baggage packed to take a trip with America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator, Johnny Dollar. At insurance investigation, he is just an expert. At making out his expense account, he is an absolute genius.
Expense account, submitted by investigator Johnny Dollar. To Home Office, East Coast Underwriters, Terminal Building, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of my expenditures in the investigation regarding the Parakoff policy for your company. Expense account item 1. Plane fare to Benton, Ohio, $40.04. Item 2, plane fare Benton back to Hartford, $40.04. Explanation, purchase 2 one-way tickets. Because of the type of case I'm usually assigned, I never press my luck by buying round trips. This time I was almost right. Expense account item 3. Cab fare, airport to Valley Hotel, $2.20. Tip the driver.
Gee, $1.
Naturally.
There'll be steak on the table tonight. Welcome to Warfare City.
Hey, Dorman.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you, sir?
Bring my bag inside, will you? Here.
$1.
Always.
All you need is $1 and a fan. Yeah, but does Effingham have a lot of strange people in the house?
Good evening, sir.
Hello. You have a reservation for Johnny Dollar?
Oh, yes. Mr. Dollar's in his room. He checked in about 8 o'clock.
Huh? Oh, I guess I ain't the man I used to be. What room is he in?
Sorry, sir. I'm not permitted to tell you that. I can phone him.
Oh, no, never mind. Let me have one of those envelopes, will you? I'd like to leave my card for this Mr. Dollar.
Yes, sir. Here you are.
Thanks. Here, just pop this in his box. The clerk popped the envelope into box number 207. And I popped myself into an elevator going up to room 207. I'd come to Benton to investigate a murder, and in just a matter of minutes, I found myself ready to commit one.
Yes? Who is it?
Bellboy, sir. A package from Hartford.
Just a minute.
Package for me?
Special delivery.
Come on. Get up on your feet.
Wait a minute. Take it easy. You must be Johnny Dollar.
Sometimes strangers in a hotel room can be a lot of fun, but not when they're using my name. What's your angle?
Listen, Dollar, I can explain everything.
It better be good, and it better be fast.
I didn't want to be seen waiting for you in the lobby, and it's important that I talk with you before anybody else does. That's why I'm here. I'm Eric Barker.
Oh, the defense attorney in this Parakoff thing, huh? Well, I hope you're better at defending your client than you were at defending yourself.
Whether my client goes to the chair or not, unfortunately, has nothing to do with my being a good lawyer. That's what I wanted to talk to you about.
Well, I suppose this is one time when the attorney won't mind relinquishing the floor. Why don't you get up on your feet?
Yeah, thanks. I will. Now, look, I'm no coward, Dollar. But if either one of us is going to get any place on this case, we'll have to work together. Now, I need your help, and I need it badly.
I do a single act, sorry.
Now, don't be hasty. I can help you, too. Just how much do you know about the Parakoff murder?
All I know is it's one of the screwiest cases I've ever run into. All over the country, beneficiaries are knocking off insured people. But not here in Benton. Oh, no, here they tell me the insured man, Harlan Wolf, knocked off his beneficiary and partner, Parakoff. And now I've got the deadly assignment of trying to keep the state from executing the insured man. My employer, East Coast Underwriters, isn't anxious to see $100,000 of their money burn up in the electric chair.
Well, at least we're both stuck with the same tough job.
Now, look, I'll tell you a few things I already know, and you fill it in from there. All I know is that Parakoff was shot to death, and that his business partner, your client, Harlan Wolf, was picked up leaving town and being held for the murder. What have they got against him?
Only what they found on him. That's enough. The murder weapon.
Any witnesses?
One. Parakoff's wife, Marcia, an eyewitness.
A murder weapon and an eyewitness. Well, it seems, at least at first glance anyway, that the state of Ohio will be receiving a large electric bill one day soon. Hey, is there any chance of my seeing Wolf?
No, not before he's indicted.
Great.
Dollar, Harlan Wolf shot Parakoff in self-defense. There was no premeditation. Well, I'm convinced that I could get him off with a second-degree manslaughter verdict if it weren't for the tactics of the prosecution.
What's that?
Well, they not only have intimidated my character witnesses, they've suborned their own to perjury. That's the sort of thing I'm up against.
Well, as the insurance companies keep on saying, never say die. So where can I find the widow Parakoff?
Well, if they aren't holding her in protective custody so nobody can question her, she may be at home. That's 1375 96th Street.
That's a lot of figures. By the way, how's hers? Expense account item 4, cab fare to home of a murdered man, and the girl he left behind him, $2.40. I shivered all the way out to the suburbs, but not from fear or anticipation. A simple case of summer shorts in red flannel weather. The Parakoff place was obviously the product of a good income and a bad architect. It looked like a great big wedding cake, and Mother Nature had mercifully iced the confection. The front walk was white and untrammeled as if driven snow. As a matter of fact, that's what it was. 3 inches of it, which meant that Marcia hadn't had a visitor in the past couple of hours. I was playing detective, and somebody inside was playing the radio. So I played Peeping Tom and loved every second of it. I couldn't see her face, but she had a lovely profile. I hastened to the door. Wow. Her hair was red and her eyes were green. Her hair stopped you cold, and then her eyes gave you the go signal.
Yes?
Would you mind saving that yes for later?
I beg your pardon?
Well, I've come here to ask your help, and I hope you'll say yes. My name is Johnny Dollar. I've been sent to Benton to investigate the death of your husband.
Well, why? Has this turned into a federal case?
No, I'm from the insurance company.
Oh. Come in.
Thanks. Say, where can I put my coat? This snow will melt all over your carpet.
Let it melt. Just throw your coat anyplace.
Okay.
Good shot. Come on in by the fireplace. It's nice and warm.
I should have brought some chestnuts. I could have followed her with my eyes closed. She headed for the living room, leaving a pathway of perfumed air behind her, and I didn't waste a breath of it. Hey, that's nice perfume.
Sit down.
Thanks.
Hey, you have good taste. That chair is a genuine antique.
Oh? If you can stand a compliment before we get down to business, you certainly furnish a room.
Oh, most of the things are just reproduction.
Not the things I'm talking about.
Oh, you mean me?
Uh-huh. Well, this is a happy surprise. I expected to find someone fatter and 40-er.
My husband was. And now, what about his insurance?
Oh, you got me wrong. You see, I'm working for the company that insured the man being held for the murder of your husband, Harlan Wolf.
What do you want from me?
Just a story of what happened.
Oh, that I can't do. The district attorney had a long talk with me about it. I'm not supposed to say anything to anybody about it until the trial.
Well, I'm not asking you for any state secrets. I just want you to save me a trip down to the morgue.
Oh, don't be so brutal.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize you were still in mourning. That negligee confused me. Anyway, I meant the newspaper morgue. That's what they call their files. You gave them a story. Why won't you give it to me?
I told you I can't.
Okay. Sorry I wasted your time.
Oh, wait a minute. Don't go.
Well, you aren't exactly cooperating.
Oh, please sit down. I'm going crazy in this house alone all the time. Can't we find something else to talk about?
Sure. Later. First things first.
That makes sense. All right. I don't see how it could be wrong to tell you what's already been in the newspapers, Johnny.
Yeah, that's right. Go ahead.
All right. Well, Harlan Wolf and I were here in this room alone. We were discussing business.
Business?
Business. The Highland Coal Corporation. My husband was its president. Harlan Wolf is the secretary-treasurer, and I'm the vice president.
I can't resist this. But your kind of businesswoman makes this anthracite heart of mine feel very bituminous.
What? I don't get it.
Let it go. So, you and Wolf were sitting here telling me about your coal business. Where were you sitting?
Well, I was sitting over there at the desk.
How about Wolf?
He was sitting where you are right now. And then my husband came home.
And no doubt accused you and the secretary-treasurer of putting in too much overtime. Is that it?
Yes. Oh, it was terrible. They fought, and finally Harlan ran over to the couch over there and pulled his gun out of his overcoat pocket and started pulling the trigger.
Who called the police? The neighbors?
No, I did. Well, that's all there is to it.
Well, that's all I wanted to know. That didn't hurt, did it?
No. Now, how about using those big shoulders of yours for throwing a log on the fire?
Sure. I'll go outside and get one.
No, there are logs in here.
Mm-mm. I'd rather go outside and get one that's a little damp. They burn much slower.
Oh. Well, then, while you're at it, get a big one.
I left Marcia gazing into the fire, called a cab, and stepped out into the cold night air to wait for it. I went down the front walk with my mind on what was behind me instead of what lay ahead.
Hey, Dollar!
Out of the white snow loomed two very large blue police uniforms, completely filled.
Get out of this Parakoff mess, Dollar. As a matter of fact, get out of this town.
Why, officer? I'm just beginning to like it here.
Look, this is from the top that makes it official. We've got the guilty man. We don't want any trouble.
Look, you go back to the top and tell them that this is one sure way of getting trouble.
They told us how to answer that one, too.
I did my best. My best to break every one of the Marquis of Queensberry rules. I knew I was fighting a losing fight, but I was fighting for a little time. And that's all I got. A fist never stopped, and my head seemed to feel like a ping-pong ball in a four-handed game. Suddenly, things looked up. Me, flat on my back in the snow, seeing stars. Then a boot came flying toward my head and switched off all the pretty lights.
In just a minute, we'll bring you the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. But first, we want to remind you that next Sunday night, CBS once more will bring you 10 great shows, filled with great stars and complete with comedy, drama, and mystery. Betty Davis will make her first appearance on The Prudential Hour, co-starring with Ray Milland in a gripping story of a woman who has to bridge a lifetime in 3 short hours. Once more, you'll hear those 90 non-stop minutes of mirth with Spike Jones, Jack Benny, and Amos and Andy in succession. There'll be more comedy, more drama following rapidly. The Adventures of Sam Spade, Lum and Abner, Helen Hayes, Eve Arden, Life with Luigi, It Pays to Be Ignorant. Staying tuned to CBS on Sunday nights guarantees you the greatest entertainment on the greatest listening night of all. These programs are regular Sunday night features on most of these same CBS stations. And, of course, Jack Benny comes to you over them all. And now, back to yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Continuing expense account submitted by Johnny Dollar. To the Home Office, East Coast Underwriters, Terminal Building, Hartford, Connecticut. Expense account item 5, medical supplies, bonded, $7. Oh, and here's something I'll give you for free. A handy help for your regularly employed insurance investigators. When I find myself overwhelmed in a brawl with unknown assailants, cops included, I do my best to take away more than just bruises and contusions. During my career, I've picked more pockets than a rack boy in a pool room. And I added one more to the score during the brawl in front of the Parakoff house just before I went bye-bye in the snow.
Hey, mister, wake up. Come on, wake up. You'll catch your death of cold. Did you call a cab?
Yeah, I think so.
Holy smokes, your face. Was you robbed?
What's the matter? Isn't it there?
Huh? Here, I'll give you a hand. Thanks. Holy smokes, when I first seen you laying there, I thought you was a snowman tipped over. How do you feel, cold?
Forevermore, I shall look kindly upon the haddock in the deep freeze.
Huh? Hey, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for a wallet.
Did you lose it?
First I found it, then I lost it. Oh, yeah, here it is. Come on, let's get out of here.
Where to, mister? Police headquarters?
Police headquarters? Over my dead body. Expense account, item 6. Breakfast in bed, $2.40. Expense account, item 7. Photographic work, $6. For taking pictures of contents of wallet I lifted from the police uniform the night before. Expense account, item 8. 70 cents cab fare to office of Edmund Byron, District Attorney.
Sorry to have kept you waiting, Bob. Good heavens, man, your face. Felonious assault?
Yeah. Well, I got a flash for you. Not by person or persons unknown.
Splendid. You wish to prefer charges?
Yeah, you're half right again. But not for felonious assault and not against the guys who gave me this going over last night.
What are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about. They were a couple of your harness bulls. I don't want you to waste any time denying it, so forget it.
I don't have the slightest idea what this is all about, Dollar.
I said forget it. I want to talk about something more important. You're holding Harlan Wolf for the Parakoff murder. Now, what I want to know is, when are you going to hand down your indictment and what it's going to be?
First thing in the morning, first-degree murder. Anything else you want to know before I have you thrown out of here?
Yeah. How do I get mixed up in these rhubarbs? Expense account, item 10, 5 cents. A phone call to my partner in despair, Eric Barker, attorney for the defense, who agreed to lend me a set of police photographs of the scene of the crime and the principals involved. Parakoff looked very dead. Marcia looked very frightened. And the accused, Horn Wolf, looked very fat. The pictures of the scene of the crime indicated the shooting occurred with Parakoff and Wolf standing face to face, and that all of the bullets had gone banging straight into the right side of Parakoff's body. I set up an appointment to meet Barker at 3 that afternoon, and decided to make the most of the time in between by seeing what kind of a trade I could make on that wallet I'd picked up during the winter sports of the night before. The name in it was Ben Arnold, and the address was disreputable.
I don't want any brushes.
What a coincidence. I'm not selling any.
What do you want?
I'm looking for Ben Arnold.
Who isn't? He promised me he'd be home by now. By this time, I should know better.
Okay, I'll wait.
Outside.
Inside.
Hey, wait a minute. Ben won't like this.
Well, that makes it even. I don't like Ben.
Look, I don't want any trouble.
Okay, then don't make any trouble.
Well, what do you want here anyway?
Oh, let's just say I dropped by for an unfriendly visit.
If Ben finds you here, it'll get real unfriendly. I'm warning you, get out of here. Ain't that face of yours marked up enough?
Well, that mouse hanging under your eye isn't exactly a beauty mark. Ben really spreads his blessings, doesn't he? Hey. Ben really spread one blessing right there close in front of me. It was a small room, about the size of a large closet, with a clothes sprawl high and low, making the whole place look like a collapsed clothesline. And there, hanging on the back of the door, was Ben Arnold's police uniform. My eyes popped out, pushed one of its shiny brass buttons, and rang the bell. There, like little brass love letters on the brass, stood the initials CPD. And CPD were never the initials of the Benton Police Department. Thanks for seeing me so quickly, Barker.
Dollar, you are. Good Lord, what happened to your face?
A couple of police uniforms with overstuffed shoulders did this to me last night.
Oh, there you are. I warned you. We're up against a ruthless bunch. Something should be done about it. Using the police force to beat up anybody who stands in their way?
No, Barker. They were wearing uniforms, but they weren't police.
Hey, what? Well, I'm afraid I don't follow you.
Barker, can you give me one good reason for a Benton cop to be wearing an out-of-town uniform? And don't tell me they got mixed up at the cleaners.
Out-of-town uniform?
Yeah. Yeah, and here's another one. If the law enforcement setup here is so rotten, why would they go to all the trouble of dressing up an outsider to do their muscle work?
Well, I don't know.
What I mean is, did they?
Who else would do it? It certainly couldn't have been Marcia.
Well, why not? The policy I'm interested in is the one that Parakoff, as president of that coal company, took out on Wolf's life because of his importance to the company. That kind of policy is taken out every day. But Marcia, as vice president of that coal company, is in line to collect on that policy if Wolf goes to the chair.
But why should Wolf admit to the shooting? He has nothing to gain and his life to lose.
Now, look, Marcia told me that the night of the murder, she and Wolf were alone in the house talking about the coal business. And then she didn't know what I meant when I used the words bituminous and anthracite. Whatever Marcia had on the fire that night with Wolf, it wasn't coal.
Yeah. Well, you're right about that. Marcia and Wolf were having some kind of romance.
Okay. So let's say Marcia shot her husband. Let's say Wolf is madly in love with her. Let's say she promises Wolf that she will testify he shot her husband in self-defense. Marcia gets away with murder, Wolf gets away with a light sentence, or none at all, and then Wolf gets away with a girl. That makes sense.
Yeah, but what makes you think this is even possible?
Barker, somebody had me beat up last night. I say the prosecution wouldn't have bothered sending fake cops. So, the question is, who would? There's one thing I've got to check, and check fast.
Well, what's that?
Those police photos you gave me show that Parakoff was shot by a left-handed shooter.
And that's one of the prosecution's strongest points. Wolf was left-handed.
Well, that doesn't prove that Marcia isn't. Barker, I'm going out and see Mrs. Parkman. Mrs. Parakoff. And there's only one thing I really hope.
That she's left-handed?
That she's wearing that same negligee she had on last night. Hello, Marcia. Can I come in?
Why, Johnny, what happened to your face?
Oh, I didn't get down to the beauty parlor today.
You look like you've been fighting.
Uh-huh. Not too well, but wisely.
Well, come on in the other room. And how about throwing another log on the fire?
Hey, you're a real little firebug, aren't you? You should have lived back in old Nero's time.
Whose time?
Never mind. I'll tell you what, I'll build the fire if you light it.
Well, I'd love to. Oh, you're getting a dry one from inside. Last night you went all the way outside to get one that would burn for a long time.
Oh, that was last night. You got some paper?
Here's some.
There we are. Okay, hot point. Here's my lighter. Touch it off.
Okay. There, that'll do it. Come on. Sit down over here.
No, over here will do. This chair is a perfect fit for me. Which makes me think maybe the state of Ohio has a chair that's a perfect fit for you.
What are you talking about?
Well, if you want to play games, I'll read you the rules. You know, there's a big advantage in being on my side of investigation. Fellas in my racket have the benefit of a lot of experience. But murderers, well, almost everyone is inexperienced at that business. One moment they aren't murderers, the next moment they are.
Johnny, please.
Now, let's have a look at what's on my side. For instance, from the empty shells thrown off by an automatic pistol, the experts can get a better picture of a murder scene than they can from the witnesses. Your husband was killed by a gun that was held approximately 18 inches away and directly in front of him. And the bullets entered the right half of his body. That means he was killed by someone who shoots left-handed.
Harlan Wolf is left-handed. You can ask him. He'll tell you.
I know that. And so are you. Anybody who lights a cigarette lighter with your left hand is left-handed, which makes you a good candidate.
That doesn't prove anything.
No? No, I guess it doesn't. But this chair I'm sitting in does.
What do you mean?
Last night you told me Wolf was sitting in it when your husband came home. And that statement makes you a liar. Look, I'm trained down to the point where my belt is ready to sue my hips for non-support. And I can just get into this thing. And Wolf's picture shows that he's got a beam like the Queen Mary. He wasn't in this chair, which makes me think he wasn't even in this room when your husband was killed.
All right. So I'm a liar. That doesn't mean I'm a killer.
Marcia, investigators can make a lot of mistakes, but a murderer can only make one. And you've made a big one.
I tell you, I'm no murderer. You've got to believe me, Johnny. I'll tell you everything. You're right. Harlan Wolf wasn't here.
That's enough, Marcia. Shut up.
Eric, what are we going to do? He knows.
You keep quiet.
Wow, Barker, a defense attorney, you're acting mighty offensive.
We'll have to get rid of him, Eric.
Just as soon as we get rid of something else. Dollar, you've only got one thing on me. Ben Arnold's wallet. And I want that. Now.
You're welcome to it, Barker. But it might interest you to know that I've had this picture taken this morning. Your phony policeman's wallet and everything in it. And copies are in the mail right now. The insurance company won't have any trouble connecting you with the comedy cops who beat me up last night.
You're bluffing.
There's something else I've got on you, Barker. This morning, when I was lying in bed, counting the bumps on my head, it suddenly occurred to me that you were the only one who knew where I was going last night. So you must have been the one who had me roughed up. It also does my heart good to see you standing there with that gun in your left hand, which makes you a candidate, too.
Shoot him. Shoot him, Eric.
You're a lawyer, Barker. What's your legal opinion? Are you just an accessory after the fact or before the fact? Or are you the murderer?
What are you waiting for? Shoot him. Kill him, I tell you.
Shut up, Marcia. Dollar, stand still.
If you won't, I will. Give me that gun.
Marcia, look out.
When Marcia made a rush to grab the gun from Barker, she got between me and the gun, and I dove in behind her, arms straight out, picked her up, and heaved. Marcia went smashing into Barker, and I went in a frantic treasure hunt through that flailing mass of snorting, angry bodies to find the head that held the gun. Believe me, it was no place for a lady, but Marcia was no lady. I grabbed deep in between them and pushed Barker's gun hand up under the go-round, and just to make sure the rest was strictly a fist fight, jammed my trigger finger in over his and pumped till all the shots went to the ceiling. The way the fast it was falling, it was like another fight in the snow. But this time, Johnny Dollar came up heads instead of tails.
Eric!
Come on, Barker. Up you come. And down you go.
Oh, Eric.
All right, Marcia. All right. When I first met you last night, I asked you please to save a yes for later. I'm going to ask you a few little questions. If I'm right, let's hear it. 1. Did you kill your husband? Okay, 2. Did Eric Barker shoot your husband? Did you kill Harlan Wolf? Tell him you did it, and talk him into taking this rap for you?
It was all Eric's idea. He said we'd get rid of my husband and Wolf and...
And collect their insurance. Well, Marcia, there's just one more question. Are you or aren't you going to call the district attorney and invite him over here?
Yes.
Expense account item 11. $12.40. As lunch for the district attorney, who also turned out to be left-handed. And a very nice guy to boot. We had a lot in common. It was the first case either one of us had ever worked on where the defense had been working harder than the state to bring in a conviction. Also, that it was the first case where everybody on both sides turned out to be guilty. Defense attorney Eric Barker of murder, his girlfriend Marcia Parakoff of being an accessory before and after the fact, and Harlan Wolf of conspiracy to defraud. No wonder the nation's jails are getting overcrowded. Expense account item 12, $700. Side trip to Miami, Florida. Purpose, Purpose, to recover from catching 40 winks and a miserable cold in Benton, Ohio snowbank.
Hey, Johnny, come on in. The water's fine.
Expense account total, $1,230.20. Signed, yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Now, a word about a special CBS broadcast this Sunday. You'll find it a story that grips you for a full 60 minutes on the air. A startling drama of a young reporter who finds that his assignment comes too close to home. A revelation of disturbing facts about our mental hospitals based on actual documented reports and 6 months of intensive study and preparation. With Eddie Albert starring as the young reporter, this tale of a mind in the shadow comes to you by popular demand in a repeat performance next Sunday over most of these same CBS stations. Be sure to hear Mind in the Shadow next Sunday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Listen in again next week when CBS brings you Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar, with Charles Russell as Johnny. Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar is written by Paul Dudley and Gil Dowd, with music by Mark Warno, and is produced and directed by Richard Sanville for CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The Columbia Broadcasting System presents Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar. The next half hour has its baggage packed to take a trip with America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator, Johnny Dollar. At insurance investigation, he is just an expert. At making out his expense account, he is an absolute genius.
Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, Oriental West, Cargo Bonding Company, San Francisco. The following is an accounting of my expenditures during my investigation of delayed cargo aboard the SS Shanghai Wayfarer, or the case of the slow boat from China. Expense account, item 1, $181.52. Plane fare from Hartford to San Francisco in answer to your urgent call. Expense account, item 2, $3. Lunch on Fisherman's Wharf in answer to my stomach's urgent call. Item 3, $1.20. Cab fare to your office.
Dollar, my name is Fundy. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you before.
Well, may I say it's a pleasure meeting you. It's a rough trip. I'm glad it's over.
Over? Oh, it's just begun. Here, Dollar. This is your plane ticket to Singapore.
Singapore? You know, Fundy, I had a choice.
Really?
To come to San Francisco to see you or to take a case in Boston. A nice old lady on Beacon Hill clubbed her husband with an early American bed warmer. But no, rather than New England broiled lobster, I'd rather have San Francisco cracked crab. Now, all of a sudden, Singapore. May I ask why?
Yes. We've bonded against a delay, a $120,000 cargo over our tin aboard the Shanghai Wayfarer. The ship was due to sail from Singapore 3 weeks ago. Still out there, tied up in the Tanjong Pagar dock.
What's the delay? Mutinous, mechanical, or just plain mysterious?
I'm afraid it's a little of each. We flew an expediter out there 10 days ago to see what he could do. All the satisfaction we've had from this man, Harrison, is a report that since his arrival, the Wayfarer's main shaft is burned out, her freshwater pumps have fouled up, and her steering machinery has gone on the fritz.
You don't need an insurance investigator. You need a good plumber.
Well, maybe you're right. But anyhow, you'll find our man Harrison, William Harrison, at the Crown Colony Hotel. He'll fill in the details. Dollar, you have only a matter of hours after you hit Singapore to get the Shanghai Wayfarer started on its way. I must impress upon you the fact that any delay after that will cost this company $2,500 a day.
Well, all I can promise is the old college try. Times like this, I wish I'd gone to college. Well, anyway, I'm in the right town to make my last night in the States a good one. A few drinks with the right gal at the top of the mark. A few rare steaks at Alfred's. A few dances to Freddie Martin's music at the St. Francis. A few moments alone in the arms...
Dollar.
Huh?
That sounds mighty good. But your plane leaves in 2 hours.
2 hours? Well, I guess I'll have to do without the drinks, the dinner, and the dancing. Expense account item 4, $120. Lost in the course of teaching fellow passenger how to play poker. My mother warned me never to play cards with strangers on trains or steamships. I wish she'd included airplanes. You'd implied, Fundy, that the situation smelled. Well, you should have caught a whiff of the city, especially the native sections, through which I had to pass on my way to the Crown Colony Hotel. I found it on Anson Road. I found myself a room. I also found William Harrison's room. Harrison? Hey, Harrison. But I didn't find Harrison. All I found was a calling card from my old friend Trouble. Wherever Harrison was, he didn't want to be, and he left a trail of broken furniture and blood to prove it. I searched the dresser. Shirt size, 14. Socks, 9. That meant Harrison was a small man. I went through the bathroom, shaving brush and toothbrush still wet, indicating that he'd been there not too many hours before I arrived. Then I tried the wastebasket. In addition to one large glob of used chewing gum, an empty cigarette package, and some old Kleenex, I found a swizzle stick with a name on it. The Collier Key Bar. All that meant was that Harrison had a head cold and had been trying to cure it with Singapore slings. But at least I knew where he'd been drinking them. The Collier Key Bar looked out on the harbor. It was dark enough inside to give a man a good excuse for drinking nightcaps at noon.
Your pleasure, sir?
Say, how are you on mixed drinks?
Mixed drinks. Governor, if I don't know how to make 'em, I look 'em up in the book. If they ain't in the book, I fake 'em. Now, what'll it be?
Straight bourbon.
Right, yours, sir.
Oh, hey, bartender.
Yes, sir.
Are you by any chance acquainted with an American named Harrison?
Harrison, sir?
Yeah. He arrived in Singapore about 10 days ago. Small man with a cold in his head.
Oh, Harrison. Sure, I know him right enough. He's been coming in every night with a chief engineer from one of the ships in port.
Oh, yeah? What ship is that?
Well, the Shanghai Wayfarer, I think.
Oh, the Shanghai Wayfarer. What's this engineer's name?
Now, hold on. I ain't getting him into any trouble, am I? He's a nice chap, he is. A handsome tipper.
This handsome?
My governor, $20 American. Why, compared to you, sir, Mr. Frank Moore is downright tight-fisted. Well, how about that? I done it. I let Mr. Frank Moore's name slip right out. My missus is right. For a little man, I've got a ruddy large mouth.
Expense account, item 5. Rickshaw fare to the Tanjong Pagar docks, 10 cents. Tip to Pony Boy, $1. The ships moored fore and aft of the Shanghai Wayfarer were busy stuffing the pungent treasures of the East into their deep steel pockets. But the only sign of life aboard the Shanghai Wayfarer was the right hand of the burly gangway watch. It was holding a knife with a 6-inch blade and slicing thin slivers off a plug that looked more like tar than tobacco. As a gangway watch, he might have been fine. But as a reception committee, he was no Elsa Maxwell.
That's far enough, mate. There's nobody aboard and there's nobody coming aboard.
It's all right with me. All I want's a little information. Where can I find your chief engineer, Frank Moore?
You come to the wrong place. Try the icebox over at the Singapore police. They fished him out of the harbor this morning, stabbed to death.
Oh? Any idea who did it?
Holding some dame he's been playing around with. No, I don't know her name.
Have they got anything else?
Listen, mate, my job is to guard the ship, not answer questions.
Okay. Have it your way. Watch out for pirates. The British Chief Inspector, Singapore Police, gave me everything except an invitation to tea. But unfortunately, he never even heard of Harrison. He took me into the morgue, and a look at Frank Moore's body told me nothing I didn't already know. He'd been stabbed, all right, and whoever had killed him had sunk him with a hole-in-one. As for his personal effects, his Maritime Union card confirmed the fact that he was indeed the chief engineer of the Shanghai Wayfarer. A stack of crisp American $20 bills in his wallet made me wonder whether he hadn't been picking up a little extra pin money for delaying the departure of his ship. And finally, a photograph that made me admire the late Mr. Moore's taste in women. Whoever it was that said, "Never the twain shall meet," should have met her. She was half caste and all woman. Her picture was inscribed to Frank Moore, "Yours forever, Chandra." From the inspector, I learned 2 more things. 1, the fact that the police had already questioned and released her. And 2, her business address, the Wardlow Bar on Malay Street.
Hello, Mr. Young. You like a midnight sing-song girl?
No, the only girl I want to hear sing songs is Dinah Shore. Go on, beat it, will you? Oh, hey, wait a minute.
Yes, Stuart?
Where's Chandra?
Oh, she go across to Penang tonight. You buy any drink, mister? We sit right over.
They're gonna. Get it.
Oh, Zamunda, hello. I pushed you away home to Shanghai one night in your own coffin.
Complete with stab wounds, no doubt.
Why you say that? Why you ask for Chandra?
I'm a stranger in town. I can't find the local chapter of the Lonely Hearts Club. So, shall we find a quiet table?
I don't know you.
No, but you knew Frank Moore. That gives us something in common.
Over there is one.
Okay. This doesn't sound like a very quiet table to me.
In Singapore, you will learn whispers stand out in the quiet. They disappear in the noise.
I'll bow to the wisdom of the native guide. But who said I had any secrets?
You talk about Frank Moore, so I know if you do not have secrets to give, there must be secrets you like to learn. But I tell the police everything I know, which is nothing.
Oh.
No, you are disappointed in me?
No, not at all. You make good scenery. And I'll bet there's quite a story that goes with you.
Ah, you find me interesting.
I'm a man.
Why do you come to me?
Well, there were 2 places I could go for what I'm after. And you're much prettier than the SS Shanghai Wayfarer. I'm looking for a lead on a man named Harrison. Your murdered friend Frank Moore knew him, so figures you know him.
You are wrong. I do not know him. I do not even know you.
Oh, well, that's soon fixed. My name is Johnny Dollar.
Your name is nice.
Especially the dollar part, huh?
You are very droll, but I see when you make this joke there is no smile on your face. You are worried about your friend, Mr. Harrison?
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe he was lonely tonight. Maybe he does not want you to find him.
You certainly make me feel much better. How about a drink?
I never drink before midnight.
All right, then I'll wait. We'll have one then.
All right, Johnny. But we don't have it here. We go to my house. There it is cool on the river. And there it is quiet. So we do not have to whisper.
Midnight must have been invented for Singapore, and her house must have been invented for midnight. Only one thing looked out of place. Up on the wall was a souvenir of Chandra's war effort, a real American baseball bat, a Louisville Slugger. And on it was written, "Remember the U.S. Marines." Everything else in the place was soft. The lights, cushions, Chandra.
It is nicer to drink here, no?
May I say, it's a mite intoxicating without a drink. I wish the boys back in my high school senior class could see me now.
What do you mean?
In the graduation annual, they predicted I'd be a bookkeeper.
Oh, I do not understand you.
And neither did the boys in my senior class.
Johnny, please say things I can understand. I want to know you better.
Maybe if I stop talking altogether, you'll get to know me better.
Johnny.
So I stopped talking, but I didn't stop thinking. When I'd mentioned Harrison to Chandra earlier, she said maybe he was lonely tonight. If she didn't know him or anything about him, I wondered how she knew that he was missing tonight and not for a couple of days, or maybe even longer. Besides, the boyfriends of women like her don't keep secrets. I still assumed that if Frank Moore had known Harrison, Chandra had known Harrison. I also assumed that she'd spited me into her parlor for purposes other than social. And that notion was seconded soon after I had it, when somebody kicked the door open.
Your Johnny Dollar.
The two boys in the door were not from Western Union. And ugly as they were, Chandra left my side to join them, which made me think that maybe my senior class had been right. Looking at that trio's 6 eyes and 2 guns glaring at me, I wished I was a bookkeeper.
In just a moment, we'll return to the second act of Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar. But first, here it is almost the end of February. All over the country, people are thinking about their new cars. All but one man. And he remains quite content with his old automobile and wearing apparel, an ancient Maxwell and a well-worn toupee. For these reasons, and for several others, named Mary, Dennis, Don, Phil, and Rochester, he now has the #1 comedy show in America. All over the country, people think about him, too, every Sunday night. Hear the Jack Benny Show with Claude Rains as Jack's special guest next Sunday on all these same CBS network stations. And now, back to Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar.
The men with the guns, described from left to right, were a fat man with 3 chins and a bald dome, and with him, a punk with a sneer and arms that were too long for the rest of them. They gun muzzled me into a chair and started making anything but sense.
Very well, Chandler, my dear. We are at last face to face with the mysterious stranger, Johnny Dollar.
Oh, don't kill the suspense and tell me why.
He knows why. He came to the Wardlow bar. He knew about Frank Moore, and he was looking for the other one, Harrison. That is why I phoned you.
Well, it would seem then that this unfortunate chain of events is nearing the final link.
Yeah, this guy uses his head better than Harrison did.
Well, Dollar?
I'm using my head right now.
Splendid, splendid. So doing, you may well prevent Harrison's death as well as your own.
Oh, well, that's better than nothing. But is that all you can offer?
Skip the bargaining, Rustline. Takes too much time.
Quiet, Corgi. There are times when money is cheaper than the Results of your kind of blind violence. Well, Dollar, you do have a price.
Take a tip from my last name. Start bidding.
I tell you, you're nuts, Rosalind. You aren't sure he knows where it is.
He must know. He was looking for Harrison. They both know.
You be quiet, both of you. 500 pounds English dollar. Where is it?
At times like this, I keep my mouth shut and my ears open.
750. Surely, Dollar, since you've entered the situation at such a late date, that is profit enough.
Oh, well, I'm a man of expensive tastes. I've always aspired to such things as $200 cigarette lighters.
Go ahead. Keep spitting out that wise talk, and you'll be spitting out teeth. How'd you like to go swimming with your hands and feet tied?
I could bite my tongue.
Not just yet, Corgi, my boy. This man is worthless, dead. Perhaps, Dollar, we can induce you to talk in much the same way as we could prepare to pat it by slitting the tongue.
You know, Rosalind, your mother must have been scared by Sidney Greenstreet.
Either this guy is nuts or he doesn't know anything.
What I know would fill a police blotter.
Corgi, you know nothing of psychology, my boy. What this man is attempting to pass off as a show of bravery is based purely on the knowledge that he is, momentarily at least, of some considerable value to us alive. Now, Dollar, be careful. Before you make your final decision, bear in mind you've heard our final offer. Now, sir, what shall it be?
Oh, the squirrel said to the little girl when she asked him what he wanted for Christmas, nuts.
Very well, Dollar. Corgi.
Thanks.
I finally came to in the dark, trussed up like a turkey, and lay there trying to figure it out. Obviously, the two rude dudes thought I knew something I didn't know. But what I did know was that finding Harrison had turned into a big, fat headache. Also, that I had accomplished exactly nothing towards speeding the SS Shanghai Wayfarer over the bounding Maine. While I was comforting myself by repeating over and over that old insurance company soother, never say die, I discovered I wasn't alone.
Hello.
Huh?
Who are you?
You were here first. You tell me.
Well, my name is Harrison.
Harrison?
Yes, who are you?
I'm Johnny Dollar. I was sent out here by the Oriental West Cargo Bonding Company.
Oriental West?
Yes, I was supposed to do what you couldn't get done. And look at me now. Getting hit over the head and dumped in here must be par for the course. How long you been here, and why?
I've been driving myself crazy trying to figure that out.
Well, this little guest house, wherever we are, must only have one set of proprietors. I can tell you who they are, at least by the names they're using tonight. Rosalind and Corgi. They offer me 750 English pounds to tell them where something called It was. What is It?
What's a package? What's in it? I don't know. It belonged to the chief engineer of the Shanghai Wayfarer, Frank Moore. He was helping me try to get the ship on its way, and I owed him a favor. He asked me to drop this package at a bar. The
Wardlow bar, yeah, go ahead.
That's right. I was supposed to give it to a girl named Chandra. She wasn't there, so I got her address and went out to her place.
You mean that package is at Chandra's house?
Yes. When I got out there, the Chinese maid let me in. I waited as long as I could, and then rather than leave what might be a valuable package just lying around loose, I put it into the bottom drawer of a dresser and left.
Oh, great. For such things, I go around laying down my life.
It's obvious that these men will stop at nothing to get their hands on that package.
Well, when they asked you where it was, why didn't you tell them? Then neither one of us would be here. What's more, I'm beginning to think the sooner they get the package, the sooner our ship sails.
Frank Moore had been a good friend to me. He wanted Chandra to have it, and I couldn't just turn it over to those two.
Well, I've got some news for you. And this should make you really unhappy. Those two happen to be in business with Chandra. They're all on the same team. She's one of them.
What an idiot I've been.
Yeah, well, here we are, all roped up. You know, for a pair of guys who came out here to speed a shipload of raw tin on its way, we're doing just dandy. We're lucky if we get out of this thing alive. Offhand, I'd say our host probably murdered Frank Moore trying to get that package. Maybe we're next. Uh-oh. Maybe right now. A beam from a powerful flashlight stabbed us in the eyes. The sudden change from too much dark to too much light kept us blinded.
Well, look who's here.
At least the voice behind the glare wasn't Rosalind's and it wasn't Corgi's. But it was a familiar voice, one I'd heard and heard lately. He walked in on us, the flash in one hand, and in the other, a knife with a 6-inch blade. At first, I wondered whether it was the one that had been buried in Frank Moore's back. And then I remembered where I'd seen it before. The man bending over us was the burly gangway watch from the Shanghai Wayfarer.
And you told me to watch out for pirates.
Well, this situation is getting a little overcrowded. I didn't think there was room for any more. What do you want?
You know what I want, Dollar. The same thing Rosalind and Corgi are ripping your hotel room apart for right now.
Now, don't tell me you're looking for it, too. Two things I know about that package, mister.
The name is Rourke.
Okay, Rourke. One thing I know is that it's dangerous company. The other is I want no part of it. The only thing I'm interested in is getting the Shanghai Wayfarer out of port.
That won't be hard once I get that package. Where is it, Dollar?
I'll trade the answer to that question for a little freedom.
Okay. Hold still.
Thanks. Harrison's next. I want him with us in case he's lying.
All right. Okay, Harrison, roll over.
Hey, you! When Rourke bent over Harrison, I drop-kicked the flashlight out of his hand, ran across the darkened room, through the open door, and kept on running. Sometimes the long way around is the shortest way home, so I headed for Chandra's house. I not only had some getting even to do, but I had some curiosity to satisfy. Somehow the Shanghai Wayfarer's failure to sail on schedule was tied up with a mysterious package. But how? Why? I decided I'd earned the right to see what was in that package.
Johnny!
I didn't want you to be lonely. I heard your playmates are over making themselves at home in my room, so I thought you and I could have a little chat. Maybe I've got a surprise for you.
What, Johnny?
I think I know where that package is.
Johnny. You gave that package. We both don't worry for the rest of our lives. But we must hurry before Rosalind and Corgi come back. We go now.
Okay, where's your bedroom?
Johnny, what do you mean?
Now, come on, where is it?
Come, I show you. No, it cannot be. It is not the one, no.
It's been here all the time. And now while I open this thing, you can go and have yourself a nervous breakdown. Say, this is more fun than unwrapping Christmas presents. And now I take off the cover. Wow. Now I know how the winner feels on Hit the Jackpot. The package was paper all the way through, brown wrapping on the outside and green spending on the inside. Big bundles of fresh, clean American 20s. Thousands of the same kind of bills that the Singapore police had found in the late Frank Moore's wallet. It would have taken half a day to count it, and I'd wasted too much time already.
They'll be no good to you without me, Johnny. You have to know how to get rid of them.
Oh, counterfeit, huh?
Yes. They are made in China. Frank Moore brought them from Shanghai to Rosalind to take to the States, but Rosalind was not here in Singapore. He was late, so Frank had to make some accident happen to his ship to keep it from sailing. But then he changed his mind. He decided he would give the money himself, but Rosalind caught up with him.
Oh, I see. He was sending them to you by way of Harrison, just before he was knifed by Rosalind, huh? Who talked him into that? You, by any chance?
You and I could be very rich, Johnny.
You never give up, do you?
There's $500,000 there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should buy about 50 years in jail. I'm taking this down to customs and you with it.
No, I do not think you do.
Uh-huh. Time to play another visiting team. Come on, beautiful. I don't want you in the way.
Let go of me,
I grabbed her, lashed her wrist with a cord from the package, and since she liked money so much, I stuffed her mouth with a fistful of those troublesome $20 bills. I locked her and the rest of the loot into a closet and dashed into the other room looking for a weapon. And then I remembered that Louisville slugger from the U.S. Marines. I was glad they'd landed. I grabbed it off the wall, got a toehold in the carpet on the left side of the door, wrapped my fingers around the bat, swung it on the back of my shoulder, and waited.
Sandra, my dear, we just came to... Oh!
2 outs and 1 to go.
No!
3 outs, and the side is retired. What a ball game. First, I take your guns. And now we sit and wait for you to wake up.
I'll take over from here on in, Dollar.
Huh? Oh, I don't know about that, Rourke. I happen to be the guy who has the gun.
Oh? Well, here. Take a look at this.
What's in your wallet that I want to look at? More hot 20s? I'm not taking my eyes off you, Rourke.
Okay, I'll turn around with my hands up, and then you can look at it.
Okay, fair enough. But if you so much as move, I'll start shooting.
That's the deal.
It's a fine time to learn this.
Are you satisfied?
John Joseph Rourke, U.S. Treasury Department. Come on in.
I'm sorry I couldn't come out into the open before, Dollar, but I was too close to the payoff of this case to take any chances.
Well, you know, I'm beginning to think that just being in this town is taking chances.
That counterfeit's been funneling through this port on its way from China for months. We had more staked out for a long time, but this is the first shot we had at the top. That's him lying there on the floor, Roslin. Now I've got him. Oh, your pal Harrison told me where I can find the only other thing I need, that package of hot money in the dresser drawer.
Oh, it's now moved into the bedroom closet, along with a package of hot woman.
Well, then, Dollar, it looks like my job out here is just about done.
Yeah, I guess so. Hey, wait a minute. You're from the Treasury Department.
Yes?
Well, then, after you get all these birds into their cages, how about helping me make out my income tax? Expense account, item 6. Hotel bill, 1 night in Singapore, $5. Item 7, 1 new outfit, replacing mine, which was ruined in course of taking midnight dip in Singapore River, $200. Item 8, $20. Bar checks for cheering up one William Harrison, your expediter, whose innocence had him running errands for the man who was holding up the departure of your ship. Item 9, $375. Spent while killing time until the departure of my plane back to the States, after the Shanghai Wayfarer finally sailed. You see, this time, I had 4 hours on my hands instead of the 2 you allowed me in San Francisco. Expense account total, $1,407. Signed, yours, truly, Johnny Dollar.
In just a moment, we'll tell you about next week's Johnny Dollar adventure. But first, for more exciting drama in the mystery and adventure line, remember CBS 2 thrill-packed Saturday night shows, The Adventures of Philip Marlowe and Gangbusters. Be sure to hear Philip Marlowe and Gangbusters tomorrow night on most of these same CBS network stations. Next week, CBS will take you adventuring with Johnny Dollar, hitting the hot spots in Palm Beach and New Orleans, with the star of Hades, Diamond, on a trip all points south. Charles Russell plays the role of Johnny. Our music is composed and conducted by Mark Warnow. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is written by Paul Dudley and Gil Dowd, and is produced and directed by Richard Sandville for CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.